For the past year, I've been chasing one goal: climb the ladder and play high stakes poker. There have been a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but over the past month, I've at least built back my bankroll to play 2-5 comfortably. Today, we get to Texas Card House on a Thursday afternoon. While waiting for my seat, I hop into a 1-2 game and turn this into this in just 14 minutes. I beat queens with ace king, nothing crazy, but it does give me some momentum coming into the bigger game. It's a brand new table, let's have a day. I pick up ace 10 suited in the big blind and a lot happens before it gets to me. There's an open and 3 callers before the button squeezes it to 100. Now this guy's been active in the short time we've been playing, and I think especially on the button, he's 3-betting light. Cold calling this amount is a losing play, so it's either 4-bet or fold, and with all the dead money out there, I choose to 4-bet to 285. It folds back to him. If he jams, it's a total disaster, but he just calls. We flop a small piece of the pie, and on a king-high board like this, I gotta at least pretend to have ace-king. I bet $200, which should get the job done most of the time, but the disaster comes through. He goes all in. Ugh. I mean, he could have a flush draw, but he could also have a king. Even some of his spade draws like ace jack and ace queen have us beat. So I gotta let it go and save the $500 in my stack for later. I rebuy and try again. We get jack 10 suited in the straddle. The player to my left raises it up and only I call. We get a pretty good flop for our range and have potential, so I call a small bet. The turn gives us a flush draw, and after he bets small again, we have a couple of options. Calling's fine, but this board favors us, so I semi-bluff to 150. Mostly trying to get his junk out of there that is still beating us so far. Would love to win the hand right now, but he calls, so maybe we'll get there, but nope. Now I'm staring at jack high and only one way to win the hand. Any 5 makes a straight, and we're way more likely to have that, a set, or 2 pair. I bet 285 and he almost beats me in the pot with pocket 7s. Yikes, definitely got owned this time, but the night is young and at some point I have to hit a hand. I raise up a suited ace, the worst one, but still. Then seat 1 makes a big squeeze, which takes me out of the mix. One player called though, so we see the flop, and yeah, that would be the nuts. To make it worse, they both went all in, and a jack high flush won in the end. To be honest, seat 1 was playing pretty crazy, so keep that in mind as I raise up 10-8 offsuit over a straddle and his limp. The small blind bumps it up to 150, and the limper cold calls. Look, I know my hand is dog water, but it's a good price, I have position, and I really want to play pots with seat 1. So let's see a flop. We hit middle pair, which isn't that great, but it might be good when all 3 of us check. Turns a blank, and now the small blind gets aggressive again. He bets 225, seat 1 folds, and well, unless he was trying to induce on the flop, I assume he has a draw at best, so I call. Last card's a 9, so king jack gets there. He thinks for a long time, so I think along with him. To be honest, as speculative as my holding is, I'm ready to call if he jams. He called me down with 1 pair, and I'm ready to do the same. Eventually though, he checks, so I check it back and he announces ace high. Not super proud to turn over the 10-8 off, but it feels great to finally win a relevant pot. At this point, a couple of these guys start talking about playing in JRB's game, which is a really famous high-stakes game in Las Vegas. And considering we're playing 2-5 today, it's clear that I've been trying to bluff the wrong people. I pick up 6-5 suited and raise the 30 over a straddle. A couple of people call before seat 1 makes another big squeeze. He goes 210, and since we're pretty deep, and I'll be tilted beyond belief if I flop the nuts after folding again, I call. Then the player behind me calls for less, so we have action between seat 1 and I with a mostly dry side pot. This time, the flop gives us the opposite of the nuts. The 2 of us end up checking it down. He had ace queen, and the player who went all in pre flopped a straight. Just not my day, and I finish with a sizable L. I palm my chips and live to fight again tomorrow. Okay, goal for today is to bluff less and try to make value hands so that I can bet for value. Let's see if that happens. Like yesterday, I start at 1-2 and turn this into this in 18 minutes. Honestly, maybe I should just stay at 1-2, but we're going to 2-5 regardless. Once again, it's a new table, and this time I ease up on the bluffing. We basically tread water for 2 hours before the bane of my existence, the double board PLO bomb pot, arrives. I have ace jack 10 deuce with spades. The top board gives us a gutter, but on the bottom we have 2 pair and the nut flush draw. I decide to bet $75 and only the 2 guys on either side of me call. Turn up top gives us a better straight draw and the bottom doesn't change much. I'm not sure whether to check or bet, but since not much changed and I have a lot of equity, I try to stay in control of the hand and bet 225. The first player calls before the guy to my right does the thing I really did not want him to do. He pots it, putting me all in. I don't like this at all, but we are drawing to the nuts on both boards and have 2 pair on one of them. I just don't have enough left behind to fold, so I call. Third player gets out of the way, and here we go.
Good luck, good luck. Double gutty in the middle set. Set. Yeah, that's sick. Let me just make sure.
Honestly, pretty speculative from both of us, but he was ahead on both boards when we went all in. I wish I checked the turn. That was probably a blunder, but nothing to do now except buy back in and try again. I pick up ace 10 offsuit, and just like the first hand yesterday, there's some action before us. Under the gun raised, and the young man who just felted me 3 bets. I've seen this happen a couple of times already today, and even though my hand isn't that great, let's try to pounce on what I think is a light 3 bet. I make it 150 to go, and when it gets back around to him, he goes all in. Fuck. And he did it with ace 5. Getting owned does not feel good, but we go again. I rebuy another 500, but over the next hour, I still can't get much going. I rebuy again. Now we're in the game for $3,000 and I do not have another dollar in my wallet. I either make something happen with the chips I still have or go home a loser for the second day in a row. For the next 2.5 hours, I do my best, but can't string together 2 wins in a row. I have a habit of leaving when things aren't going my way, just like I did yesterday, but it's a bad habit. The better move is to compose yourself and grind your way out of the hole without forcing anything. I'm gonna try that today. At my lowest, I was down almost $2,000. But at some point, I have to start getting dealt winners, and maybe pocket jacks will be the catalyst. I 3-bet an open and we go heads up to a good flop for jacks. He calls another bet, but the turn is trouble. Even though I still have an overpair, I don't think I can bet it for value anymore, so I check it back. Last card's a 9, so we're playing the board now. He checks, and well, I'm way more likely to have a 10, so let's try to get him off a chop. I put him all in, and surprisingly, it works. Honestly, I think the main reason he folded is just out of frustration of flopping the nuts only to be playing the board by the river. Either way though, it's nice to steal one. I move over to my favorite seat and pick up ace 7. 3 people limp, I raise, and 2 of those limpers call. We hit middle pair and I bet 50. Half for value, half for protection. The hijack calls, so we're heads up to the 5 of diamonds. Flush got there and I check. He bets $75. Don't really like where this is going, but I'm not folding yet. Last card's an offsuit queen and I check again. And he bets again. $200 this time, and I don't really have anything to say except I don't think he has it. That's it. I just had the feeling that this guy was bluffing, so with that super pro analysis in mind, I made the call and luckily he mucked.
Oh, we have showdown.
We're climbing out of the hole one hand at a time and raise up ace queen. A Euro bro wants to play for more, and in these positions, 4-betting ace queen is definitely an overplay. So I just call and we miss the flop, but ace queen is still pretty good. So I call another bet and we get the best turn in the deck. He bets 175 this time, and I'm not sure if I should raise or call. In hindsight, with all the draws out there, I should raise and just live with the results if he happens to have a better hand. But I ended up calling, and the river's another 10. I check, and he ends up checking back, so we win. I think he probably had ace king, ace jack, or king jack, and on a brickier river, he would have fired a 3rd barrel. But either way, we're down less than $1,000 now, as I pick up one of my favorite hands in the big blind. Seat 9 raised pre, and 2 of us called. We get top pair on a dry flop. Low jack C bets 50, and only I call. Kinda worrisome when he goes for a big bet, but the turn gives us a flush draw. He bets 150 this time, and after playing with this guy for a couple of hours, I'm 90% sure that he has an overpair. Still though, I have too much going on to fold, and we river 2 pair. I feel like he's gonna check back a lot with aces, kings, and queens. So I lead out for $300 and he snap calls with queens. Lucky river, and now we're almost even. The tide has turned and I get dealt my best hand of the day so far in pocket queens. It folds to me in the small blind, and to be honest, I didn't see that the straddle was on, so I raised a 20, which is way too small, so both the big blind and the straddle called. Flop is pretty good. I bet half pot and both call. 9 on the turn. Not really sure where I'm at now. I check and the big blind bets 100. Straddle gets out of the way and nothing to do for me but call. Last card's a 6, which I doubt changes anything. I check and he bets 225. Well, there aren't a ton of natural bluffs since there weren't any flush draws, but I did slow play and there's a chance that he's betting a jack for value. So I think we got a call, and he was betting a jack, but he had a deuce along with it. Damn it, man. If I didn't mess up my pre-flop raise size, he probably would have folded. That's a setback, and it's time again for the double board bomb pot. I have king 10 6-4 with diamonds. We get 3 pair on the first board and top pair, a flush draw, and a gutter on the second one. A player bets 60, and I want to try to get this down to heads up. It'll make it a lot easier to navigate future streets, so I raised to 260 and he makes the call. Now we have a 4th pair up top plus a flush draw. There's a ton of straight draws, but it's nice to be blocking all the sets, and we hit the flush on the bottom. He checks, and I just hope he doesn't have nut diamonds. I feel good about both boards and bet 520. He doesn't have much behind this bet, and he does go all in. Okay, here we go again. We fill up on top for the nuts, so as long as he doesn't have an ace high flush on bottom, we're gonna scoop, and after I show my hand, he mucks. This is the biggest bomb pot I've won since January, and more importantly, we're finally unstuck for the session. It took me 8 hours since getting felted to win it back, and after 10 hours of play total, we are finally up overall. Job not finished though. I tried to turn this thing into a massive night, but I just couldn't get anything going for the next 2 hours. Our table ends up breaking around 2 a.m., so I was here when the table opened and still here when it closed. Not much to show for 12 hours of play, but I'm just happy to show anything at all. Job finished. Okay, that was a long one. I'm happy that I got back to even at least. Not much progress made, but that's better than going backwards, so I'll try again tomorrow. That's basically my mindset. Happy to play again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next KDog Poker vlog.